This entire movie, I just kept staring at the screen like this. Existential crisis! Hey everyone, welcome to Mr. Teach Film Preach, and if you're a film lover like I am, and you learn from films as much as I do, then you're in the right place. Click like down below and subscribe to my channel for more content. Also, while you're down there, comment, what did you think of Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer? What is your favorite Christopher Nolan film? Maybe it's this one? I would love to hear your thoughts and comments down below. Today I'm reviewing the second half of the double feature day of Barbenheimer with the 2023 biopic science fiction true story, Oppenheimer. This is the true story of the American scientist J. Robert Oppenheimer, his role and the aftermath of the development of the atomic bomb during World War II.
And I know what it means if the Nazis have a bomb.
They have a 12-month head start.
18.
How could you possibly know that?
Based on the book American Prometheus, written and directed by Christopher Nolan himself, I'm a big Christopher Nolan fan. I always have been. I still remember to this day seeing Memento when I was like 9, 10 years old. Like, I was super young.
They are too young. He's not ready.
Over the years, he has slowly become one of my favorite, one of the most interesting filmmakers. A lot of Nolan's films are always either based in science fiction or wrapped up in some sort of fantasy, whether that's Interstellar or Inception or The Dark Knight. He just takes very big swings, tells a lot of interesting and original stories. This is, for me, Christopher Nolan's biopic, Oscar Academy Award run for him, and I really enjoyed this film. I love to study and look at World War II, so anything based around this sort of time frame, and that also includes the Manhattan Project. Now, I just mentioned that this is his version of a biopic, but this is not a normal biopic film. This is a biopic by Christopher Nolan. And so it's told in a very non-linear style. Of course, much like a lot of his films are, but maybe even more so in Oppenheimer than any of his other films. It is very convoluted editing and storytelling, and there's like multiple timelines that are being overlapped with each other. You slowly begin to figure out the storylines and the plot lines as they are beginning to unfold. And I think that's one of the strongest aspects of Christopher Nolan as a storyteller, as a director, is that he just knows how to tell a compelling story. And when it comes to biopics, I often find that those movies are dry.
So dry.
They don't have a very strong flair. That is not the case for Oppenheimer. You can definitely feel the mastery of Christopher Nolan's skills. Even though this is not his most visual film, like if you look at Inception or The Dark Knight or even Interstellar, Dunkirk, Tenet, like those films are very visually appealing. And don't get me wrong, this film does have some beautiful visuals, some amazing cinematography, some of the best I've seen this year, but it's on a very small scale in this film because it is based on a true story. These are real scientists. This is an actual thing that happened in human history that changed the course of the world forever. And this is a real scientist who had very emotional reaction to his own work, to his legacy, existential crisis.
Life is a constant battle with no reprieve.
And it's told through this very complicated individual where we're not quite sure if Oppenheimer is a villain or a hero, maybe a bit of both. He literally quotes Prometheus in this film, "I am become the destroyer of worlds."
That really got out of hand fast.
Heavy theme. So you have to be prepared when going into this movie that you're going to feel a lot of existential dread. Christopher Nolan for sure will be nominated for an Academy Award for Best Director this year, and that also includes a Best Actor nomination for Cillian Murphy, who just knocks it out of the park with his role as Oppenheimer. I've been a fan of Cillian Murphy ever since I saw him in 28 Days Later. Always wanted to see Cillian Murphy get a role in a main production, and he gets to show off his acting chops more than ever. He is phenomenal as Oppenheimer. His eyes, those big blue eyes that he has, it's so expressive, and you can just see in the moments when he's in the frame, his face and the reactions that he gives to what he's saying or what is being said to him or the circumstances. you just believe every frame of his character. He looks like Oppenheimer. I thought he nailed the character really well, and I think this is his best performance. If he has a chance to win an Academy Award ever in his career, this is the moment right now. And I hope he gets it. He's so commanding and yet so reserved in this performance in so many ways. And it just creates this really complicated and interesting character to watch unfold in front of us.
The world will remember this day. Our work here will ensure a peace mankind has never seen.
Emily Blunt is fantastic, even with a hard, underwritten role like Kitty is in this film. Christopher Nolan does not do the greatest job of writing female characters. However, that does not mean she doesn't do a spectacular job, because she does. This woman is a phenomenal actor. She's got one particular scene in this movie near the end of the film when she is being interrogated. She delivers this amazing scene against Jason Clarke where she's like calling him out. Matt Damon does a fantastic job as like the military recruiter to put this team of scientists together.
Why would we go to the middle of nowhere?
Why? How about because this is the most important thing to ever happen in the history of the world?
He's in a sports movie. Like, he's like, I'm going to recruit all these people and we're going to do this amazing historical thing. And I love his performance. I thought he was fantastic.
Matt Damon!
Robert Downey Jr. hasn't been this good since Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
What did you just do?
I put in one bullet, didn't I?
Of course, I loved him as Iron Man, but that's really all he's been doing for the last like 15 years.
Not a great plan.
So great to see him play an antagonist role, a role where he kind of disappears into. His story is told in like a black and white sort of style in the film, while the rest of it is told really from Oppenheimer's perspective, and that's in color. So you get this contrast between Oppenheimer and Strauss. Of course, Florence Pugh, who's one of my favorites, is absolutely amazing in this film. There's some really explicit sex scenes in this film.
Oh my God, that's taking
I can't wait to see her in Dune Part 2 coming up hopefully this year. Hopefully, please. Josh Hartnett making again a massive comeback. He's just surprising the hell out of me recently, but I absolutely loved Josh Hartnett, have always. So it was great to see him in this role. He was fantastic in this movie. David Krumholtz was awesome as well. And they're coming in and doing these great characters in this Christopher Nolan film. Oh, mwah.
Beautiful.
Benny Safdie is absolutely hilarious and amazing in this film. Like, this movie has every actor that has been, big in the last 20, 30 years. This cast is stunning. Every person's there to play because they want to go and play in the Christopher Nolan sandbox. The performances, the writing, directing, the cinematography, and the editing are really the best things about this film, which is incredible because those are like 5 main areas of filmmaking that you really need to nail down to make this a great film. And this is a great film. Awesome! Now, did I absolutely love this movie? You know what? I didn't.
What is wrong with you?
I think I respect this film more than I absolutely love it. I don't know how rewatchable this movie is because of the subject matter. The second half of the film is really quite dark and depressing. It didn't do anything to help my existential dread. This is a heavy reliance on the performances. If you don't have great performances from Cillian Murphy and like Robert Downey Jr. and the main players in this film, this movie kind of falls apart. It doesn't rely on Christopher Nolan's regular bag of tricks where it's like all these awe-inspiring images. This is quite a scientific, formulaic, almost like sports team kind of movie, getting the team sort of together, and doesn't rely so much on the spectacle. It is really about the performances and the characters. As much as I have enjoyed this film, I respect this movie, I didn't quite love it. It's not a masterpiece, and people are hailing this as like Christopher Nolan's masterpiece. I think there are some major flaws with this film. There is a section of this movie that just slows everything down. The first 2 hours of this film are incredible. Doom-inducing and hair-raising, and gave me goosebumps because the visuals were so great, the storytelling was so awesome, the editing was spectacular. And then, once the atomic bomb goes off, this movie just plateaus and almost actually begins to decline in some ways. it just sort of sputters out in the last hour of this film. It definitely has a third act problem, and it's much more focused on the trial and the aftermath of the bomb in the last hour of the film, and the pacing was not there.
Wow, that was weird.
Tonally a hard shift to go into the third act of this film. The last 40 minutes dragged. It was too long.
That's what she said.
Another issue with this film is Nolan's dialogue. And I don't mean the actual words that are being spoken. I'm talking about the volume level of his sound. Now, the sound design in this film is incredible. The music, the sound effects, the eeriness, the disorientation that you really feel and experience as you see Oppenheimer reacting to his own work, his own invention. But all of his past films, especially the last 4 or 5 films, the dialogue has been turned down, the characters speaking. So you have to like really lean in and be extremely paying attention to even understand what the characters are saying. As I have begun to go back and rewatch his films, without subtitles, his movies are hard to understand at times. And that's because it is a purposeful choice that they are turning down the sound and muffling the volume of the dialogue that the characters are speaking. And it's hard to hear at times. I kept thinking in the theater, man, subtitles would be really nice right now. But if you can't understand what the characters are saying, the movie will lose its impact at times. We want to hear the dialogue, especially in a dialogue-heavy movie like Oppenheimer. This is probably his most wordy, his most talky, and if we can't hear 1/3 of the dialogue, it's hard to really get invested in this film. That's why I can't wait to go watch it at home with subtitles, because I think I'll have a better experience. Overall, this movie is very well done, and I was anticipating the hell out of this film, and he did not let us down. The cinematography is amazing, the directing is spectacular, some of his best, the writing is phenomenal, the sound design and the soundtrack is gorgeous by Ludwig Göransson. The story is interesting in the way that it's compiled and put together, but the acting is just phenomenal in this film. Probably the best part about this film are the performances. This was such an awesome double feature day of Barbie and Oppenheimer, and I'm so glad that they got to be released on the same day, because we had this great, massive, huge event of Barbenheimer.
Barbie, let's go party.
Cannot deny Christopher Nolan's mastery of filmmaking, and I thought Nolan did a great adaptation from the book that this is based on. I just want to remind everyone to click that like button and subscribe to my channel, and clicking that subscribe button will really help get this channel to that 200 subscriber goal we have. Thank you so much for doing that. So overall, I'm going to go ahead and give Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer an A. What did you think of Oppenheimer? Did you love this film? Were you a big fan? Or did you think like, nah, this isn't really my kind of film? What is your favorite Christopher Nolan film? Thank you for checking out Mr. Teach Film Preach. Hope you had a great time. I know I did. Come back and check out some other films I've reviewed, like Barbie, the first half of a Barbenheimer double feature, Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning Part 1, and Joyride. Have a great day, everyone. Stay focused, stay awesome, and as always, let's get taught.